If you've played the Create mod for any stretch of time, you'll know that one of the most essential parts of powering later game contraptions is the blaze cakes, or rather, powering gigantic contraptions. So in this episode, we automate them. A full factory to add to the ever-growing factory district alongside a gold factory to passively produce gold. Of course, we gotta get there first. So let's begin. Welcome back to the Create mod and more on the Burger Joint SMP. Sorry that this took so long, I got distracted with a few other things. Yeah. Anyway, subscribe, let's begin. After making the EXP factory from last episode, I did quite a lot of research on the Create mod, and by quite a lot of research I mean literally just watching other people play the Create mod, and I found a bunch of different ways to generate and optimize rotational power through those videos. Thanks other content creators! One of the best ways to optimize your rotational speed production is the rotation speed controller, which lets you set your rotational speed to whatever you want as long as it can actually handle the contraptions you make. It requires a precision mechanism, however, which is extremely painful to make unless you have a dedicated machine for it. So that was the first thing I did, using a few small water wheels to get enough to run in. The precision mechanisms require 3 deployers to make, with the first deploying a small cogwheel, the second deploying a large cogwheel, and the third deploying an iron nugget. We have plenty of iron nuggets since we have a passive nugget farm that I still haven't fixed even about 50 hours later into the server, so it was pretty easy to make several precision mechanisms. It was then time to lay the groundwork for the main projects this episode, a new storage room, then a blaze cake factory, and a gold factory. So let's start with the storage room in this episode. Our storage room that we had been using was getting a bit clogged up, and frankly it just didn't look aesthetically pleasing, and it didn't have an auto sorter, so I took about 10 hours to create an auto sorter storage system. But here's how it works. A dump chest is placed at an easy to access location where anyone can dump all their junk into one place. A funnel pulls them out onto a belt where they travel behind all the chests. Behind the chests, I use rotation speed controllers to make incredibly fast mechanical arms. These arms are set to pick up items from the belt and deposit them into brass funnels, which all have item filters and the other filters so that they only accept certain items. So iron goes into the iron chest, cobblestone goes into the cobblestone chest, and so on all the way until we reach an overflow chest at the end. If an item isn't sorted or I forgot to add a filter, the items go into miscellaneous chests. If those are full, to Brazil they go. To finish it off, I use signs to designate what's in where, not using item frames because lag. Now the storage room is complete, its aesthetic matching the interior of a Publix, I named the snow golem at the cash register and proceeded to the next small project, a dripstone farm. I wanted to expand the factory district so that the EXP farm wasn't lonely, so the dripstone farm went right across the street from the EXP factory. And don't worry, I'll finish the street soon, and by soon I mean I still haven't finished it. This smaller factory was just a vanilla method of farming dripstone, with observers activating pistons to chop off the dripstone at the end when it grows. I just added a belt that fed directly into a chest at the far end of the factory. It was really slow as it's dripstone. Dripstone goes pretty slow. It is passive though, and would save many dripstone caves from feeling the wrath of my Uber pick. The dripstone caves will still feel my wrath though. They will. I need so much dripstone, man. You won't believe it. Next up, I did a bit of caving with the tunnel bore at Y level 15 for some iron. Our resident spaceman on the server needed a ton of iron for his space bases on Ad Astra planets, which I'm probably going to showcase next episode, assuming the planning for that episode goes all good. Woo! I did not find a lot of iron, surprisingly, even at Y level 15, but only about a stack with fortune, which was low for me. I did get a ton of copper though. It is something I need a lot later on if I ever finish that mega build on creative. I can get very lazy sometimes. Chronic lazy syndrome. The processing of all the materials took quite a long time because there was easily over 5 stacks of copper blocks. But in the end I had over 8 stacks of EXP blocks and almost 4 full shulker boxes of ores to smelt. It took a while, but it's worth it. When I need the copper, I'll definitely have it. But the zinc will be a problem. Problem for later! Now it's time to get to what you clicked on the video for, the blaze cake and gold factories. I built these side by side, so it's a bit weird, with a very compact blackstone rail autocrafter next to where the gold factory would be. These rails that I'm auto-crafting are added with the Create Steam and Rails mod and require gold nuggets to be deployed onto blackstone slabs, then pressed to make the rails. Originally, I wanted the Gold Factory to be powered through only large water wheels, but after 28 large water wheels failed to power the 18 crushing wheels I needed at high speed, I turned all my attention to the Blaze Cake Factory so I could power the Gold Factory using steam power. Blaze cakes can be put into blaze burners to superheat them, allowing max steam boilers to produce over 200,000 stress units and allowing them to subscribe to this channel like you absolutely should. It's free, do it please. Let's talk about how to make the blaze cakes step by step. Blaze cakes require a few materials to be made. To start, a cake base for the blaze cakes is made using sugar, eggs, and cinder flour, which the cinder flour is netherrack put through a pair of crushing wheels. The three get pressed in a basin to make the cake base. Easy enough. The cake base then needs to have lava spouted onto it to finish the blaze cake. The eggs were easy enough to automate, just slap a hopper on an item vault with some chickens trapped on top of the hopper. The sugar took a bit as I first tried to use a cart contraption to gather the sugar, but it didn't work, so I just used a rotational chassis to create 3 separate auto farms for sugarcane. Probably could have made this a little bit more efficient, but They all put the sugarcane down chutes where they would go into belts to be funneled into an item vault. The item vault then spits out the cane onto item crafters to make the sugar. I guess I could have used millstones too, but I forgot those existed at the time. The cinder flour was easy enough. On the outside of the factory, there's a netherrack dump chest, which uses a smart chute to send netherrack and only netherrack onto a pair of crushing wheels. They get crushed into cinder flour and sent into an item vault. I used a lot of item vaults in this build. The lava was also pretty easy. Just cauldrons with dripstone spikes over them and pipes to pull the lava into a big tank. I had to redo a bit of it as I thought that I could put all the materials across 4 presses, but it jammed too much. I instead decided to opt for just 1 press at really high speed, and it worked flawlessly after that issue was fixed, making a stack of blaze cakes every minute. Insanely efficient for my first time building one of these, and I'll only get better as the series goes on. Let's just run a quick montage of it in action so you can really see how it goes. With the blaze cakes mostly automated, with me only needing to shove netherrack in the chest occasionally, my attention then turned to the gold factory. It had been just kinda sitting there for the whole time I was working on the blaze cake factory, but now that I had the cakes, I could get back to work on the gold. The process for making the gold is a bit complicated when it's coming from literally nothing, so allow me to run you through all of it. To start, cobblestone is by using cobblestone generator. It goes into a crusher to make gravel, and another set of crushers to make sand. The sand is washed into clay balls and a few other things that avoid. The clay balls get pressed into clay blocks, and blasted by a case fans in front of lava to make terracotta. The terracotta is then pushed through crushing wheels to make red sand. The red sand is then washed with a chance to make a golden dead bush. I avoid the dead bush. This is a long process that took me quite a while to get working. About, I want to say 25 hours or so of raw footage. That is going to get translated down to about, how long is that in the recording? 8 minutes? Yeah, about 8 minutes in the recording. I had the nuggets split between just being made into ingots and being split between the Blackstone Rail Autocrafter. So that way I could just autocraft the Blackstone Rails as it makes the gold. It was a long process, but after using the schematic cannon to make the roof, it was all done. The factory was slow. I have a few issues that I'll try to fix in between this episode and the next, if I remember correctly, but now allow me to showcase a short montage, again, of this factory working. And with that, the projects this episode are complete. In the next episode on this burger joint SMP, we get to the first of many mega builds on the server. A base so tall, the ground itself falls out of render distance when you stay on the top. Stay tuned for that one, and be sure to subscribe and turn notifications on so you don't miss it. Thank you for watching. Bedrock Burger, out.